Hello guys, I am back from my whole rest week and also happy late Christmas because Christmas is already over, but still happy Christmas, or at least like late Christmas. And now for my Christmas present for all of you, or at least late Christmas present. In this case, this is a brand new what if called What if Deku was a forgemaster? So, time for me to explain what is a forgemaster. What is a forgemaster exactly? Well, it's basically the equivalent of a necromancer in the Castlevania universe. It's basically a necromancer. They use special weapons, which I can't remember the name of, and they stab it into the dead body. Like, it's depending on the weapon. Like, for example, a I think his name was Isaac. This guy, his like weapon was a knife, which he used to like stab into the person and transformed them into a demon, I think, or was it a night beast? I can't remember the specifics. But in this case, Izuku is going to have a katana instead of like a knife or in this case, this guy, which he's one of my least favorite characters, the one with the white hair. This guy, he's going to be using a katana instead of like a knife or a hammer. And so, yeah, that's basically the explanation of what is a Forge Master. And yes, this is going to be a what if based on the animated series Castlevania, which I recently watched, and god damn it, I love it. And so, let us begin. So, Izuku, just like in canon, he was quirkless and also bullied, but 10 times as bullied. Because of this, Izuku was pretty much in the pretty horrible mental stage of his life. Basically, he wants to kill himself. He's pretty much angry at the world for having quirks. Super typical. Anyway, Izuku was pretty much shitty as whole hell. Izuku absolutely hated everybody. And when he met All Might, and this is going to be earlier instead of like in canon, when All Might told him that he couldn't become a hero because he doesn't have a quirk, let's just say he's even, well, in an even worse situation. And so Izuku tore up all of his like hero merchandise, some of it, and just sell them off. And for the rest, he just burns in like a bonfire. Izuku stopped going to school after that. Many of his classmates don't really care, including Bakugo and his goons, except for one person. This girl, her name was, wait for a second, was Monoma. And Monoma in this universe is going to be a girl, obviously. And instead of being like an entitled brat and also believing that Class 1B is better, she's actually pretty nice. Her family is pretty rich, but they decide to make Monoma go into like a normal, like, school, aka a normal, actually, wait for a second, public school, because she wants to like learn how to become a normal human being, unlike the higher class, which pretty much are entitled brats in themselves. So she met Riku during their time in like not really elementary, more like kindergarten, when they finally gotten their quirks. But she was bullied because she has a copy quirk, which is considered as, you know, cheating quirk in their eyes. But when they saw Izuku defending her, let's just say they bullied him even more. But she was thankful for Izuku actually helping her out. But when Izuku, stopped going to school, she was mad. So let's go back to Izuku. Izuku was in his room, angry at the world for not giving him a quirk. Just because, this world revolves around quirks. Even, heroes that have quirks, or at least weak-ish quirks, considered quirkless as trash. And because Izuku is quirkless, let's just say he's pretty much mad at the world. Like, completely mad. So, his mother was also supportive, just like in canon. But let's just say this is going to take a bit of a turn for the worst. Because, it's also a mix of like the Castlevania universe, so it makes sense that vampires also live there. And also magic. And also monsters. Anyway, so, when, you know, wait for a second, Inko arrived back home, she was pretty tired and asked Izuku what should she make for dinner. Izuku just says anything, just as long as it's, good. As she says this, good Izuku. Well, let's just say she's completely sad, completely sad about Izuku not having a quirk. She keeps apologizing to him, like how she couldn't give him a quirk or anything like that. At least it's not as bad as Aoyama. And if you don't know, well, this is actually a spoiler from the manga. If you didn't see the manga yet, then you should start skipping. But basically, not Monoma, I meant Aoyama, aka the naval laser guy. Apparently, he was the UA traitor. Yeah, I was surprised as well. I thought it was either like Kaminari or the Invisible Girl, but no. Apparently, he was the UA traitor, which was surprising to me. And apparently, the quirk that he gotten or supposedly gotten from birth was actually given to him by All for One. Yeah, that's actually pretty surprising. Anyway, so let's just say after she made dinner, vampires attacked. The vampires tore her apart, drinking her blood, and when Izuku came down, he saw the vampires. The vampires were getting ready to snack on Izuku until they saw Izuku. Izuku with a certain mark. A mark that makes him a, wait for a second, a forgemaster, which is basically the Castlevania equivalent of a necromancer. So, when they saw Izuku, they decided to not eat him, but instead bring them to her master, or Izuku's brand new master. So, they forcibly dragged Izuku, but when Izuku tried to, defend himself using a kitchen knife, they just, backhands him and just chops his neck. Not like, chopping off his head. Like, literally just chopping on his neck and causing him to get knocked out. So, when Izuku woke up, he was in chains, in this dungeon-like area. As Izuku just says this, where am I? Please, somebody help me. I don't even care if it's a hero, just please goddamn help me. As Izuku sees in front of him two vampires, and they seem to be wearing almost European style clothing, as a woman appears with pure blonde hair and blood red eyes. Her face, it resembles like a typical like geisha like makeup. She was like wearing a typical like kimono with interesting designs, to say the least. Designs that resemble skulls, bones, and splotches of red, like resembling blood. Izuku was terrified, as Izuku just says this. Are, are you a villain? As she says this. Oh no 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 no. I am no villain, child. You can call me... Wait for a second. Just call me Aya Emi, but you can just call me Aya. I'm a vampire. Or at least the last remaining vampire after the Van Helsings killed them all. they they absolutely disgust me. As Izuku just says this. Wait, you're a vampire? Are you saying that you just have a vampire-like quirk, as she says this. We do not have quirks here. As Izuku gets scared, as she says this. Oh, sorry. Sorry for my temper there. I'm sorry for getting on the wrong foot. I wanted to ask, your mark, it makes you special. As Izuku just says this. You mean this? Oh, that's just a birthmark. As she says this. A birthmark. Hmm. Hmm. Let me tell you this. Do you know what is a format? Do you know what is a forgemaster, right? As Izuku just says this. Forge water? As he says this. She. Forge masters. They're basically the equivalent of a. Of a. What do you actually call them? Your necromancers, or whatever you call them. They seem to be quite similar, but in different ways. As Izuku just says this. What? So you're saying that I have a. As she says this. No, it's not a quirk. It's magic, basically. As Izuku just says this. Wait, magic? Are you crazy? As she says this. Oh, is it crazy that I'm a vampire? As Izuku just says this. Yeah, I'm guessing that you're probably just crazy. As she says this. This is going to be taking a long night. Alright, guards, take care of him. Maybe treat him a little bit nicer than our food, our cattle. As they see this. Right, mistress. As she leaves, Izuku was alone with the two guards. As one of the guards says this. Hey kid, we'll promise that won't drink your blood, because you're quite useful to us. As Izuku just says this. How am I useful? I'm quirkless. As he says this. Do not question your power, boy. Your power is equal to a monster, I guess you can call them. You're able to create demons and bring them to the mortal world. After all, you are a forge master, the physical embodiment, or a gateway of sorts to hell, and bringing forth these demons, human souls that were punished and now risen back from the dead, to bring forth judgment upon these damned cattle. You will help us in that endeavor. As Izuku just says this. Am I in some sort of convention or something? As he says this. I'm guessing this world is completely retarded now, ever since these quirks have been corrupting their minds. As the other guard says this. I agree. Seriously, the only thing that they think about now is quirks, not, monsters or any type of legends that are surrounding us. I mean, at least it's kind of useful because we can just hide in the shadows, but we can't go outside if... Actually, we can technically go outside if we just put in some sunscreen, but as Izuku just says this. What are they even talking about? Ugh, whatever. Izuku decides to get some sleep. So, after a while, it's the next day. Wait for a second. I'm sorry, I actually didn't Van Helsing, I meant Belmont. Sorry, I think it's because Van Helsing and Belmont are basically similar families, but with different names. So sorry, I meant Belmont, not Van Helsing, so sorry. So, Izuku was sleeping. As Izuku was sprayed, not really sprayed, more like thrown cold water all over his body, as he wakes up, as he says, what the... As he sees in front of him, the guard. As the guard says this, hey, our mistress told us to bring you to the throne room. As Izuku says this, sure. As he gets handcuffed, and was dragged by a chain. As Izuku was brought forth to, well, wait for a second, Aya. As Aya was in the middle of this throne room, or at least all the way in the back. It resembles European with a almost Japanese style like architecture with several like statues resembling like gargoyles, but the actual like colors resemble Japanese like styled like architecture, like for example like a normal Japanese house per se. As she says this, "Come on, don't worry, don't be shy. I promise I won't bite. Just the songs you serve under me." As Izuku just says this, "What do you want from a quirkless person like me?" As she says this, "That's what I asked. I told you that you're special. You're able to bring back the dead and use it to your advantage. That is why I want you. Your mark. You're a forgemaster." As Izuku just says this, "But this sounds crazy. Like the whole vampire thing. Maybe you're just talking out of your." As she says this, "Do not question me. I know that I'm a vampire. Just watch." As a woman was dragged, being a woman from a random family or something like that, as she bares her fangs and starts sucking out the blood. Izuku was terrified, as after she was done with her fill, she tells them to bring the body towards Izuku. As she says this, "Now, I want you to bring back this girl from the dead, turning her into a night beast." As Izuku just says this, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm quirkless. I don't know what the hell you're talking about." As she says this, "If you don't, guess I'll have to kill you." As Izuku just says this, uh, um, uh, Izuku doesn't know. He was terrified. He's afraid of death. Death towards. I meant death. Wait for a second. Afraid of death because of that woman. This psychopathic vampiric woman. As Izuku, while not thinking, decides to do it. But he doesn't know. Izuku just raises his hand as a gigantic, almost Japanese styled blade appeared. It resembles a Japanese katana, but with the hilt resembling a European like styled like handle or like actually I don't know what to call it. So Izuku stabs it into the well body, and when Izuku looked, there was a blade in his hand as it stabbed through the woman. The woman started shaking as blue flames appeared, as the body of the woman transforms, resembling a half wolf, half bear, half whatever. It looks like a chimera, a mix of different types of creatures. As it looks over Izuku, as wait for a second. As Aya says this, good job, Izuku." As Izuku just says this, he thought I was quirkless. As she says this, "Now, run along. I'll bring you to your chambers. Now, my guards, I want you to bring Izuku to his brand new room. A room befitting for a person of his status." As they bow, as they say this, "Yes, mistress." As they started bringing Izuku to that area, a large room that resembles an altar with several jars of body parts and many other things. As Izuku was told by one of the guards to read these books, Izuku obliges because he doesn't want to die. As Izuku reads through them, they're in Latin and also a bit of English, which confuses Izuku, but one of the guards brings him a Latin to Japanese, well, dictionary, and there's like a Japanese to like English dictionary given to him by the guards. As they started leaving, as Izuku reads through the books, it's Izuku was a pretty you know um fast reader, so it was pretty easy for him to learn. So Izuku started learning how to create more of these night beasts. So a few weeks gone by, when Monoma decides to go to his house, she sees the house was ransacked. Seeing the dead body of Inko, she was mortified as she started looking around trying to find Izuku, but she couldn't. Thinking that the villain has taken Izuku and killed his mother, she was devastated. Because she was actually had a crush on like Izuku for a while now. After telling her parents about him, they decided to make Izuku marry her daughter, or their daughter, maybe when, after like high school. But when she told the police of this, let's just say her parents were devastated as well. So they're trying to find Izuku whenever they can so they can help their daughter. And mostly because they like Izuku because he's not as bad or prideful as the rest of the, um higher class people there, and not as snobbish. He was actually loyal and a bit humble. So when Izuku was missing, they called upon like several different types of policemen, detectives, and also some private detectives to try and find Izuku, but they couldn't because after all they were kidnapped, or at least Izuku was kidnapped by vampires because they're pretty are savage, but they're still pretty smart, and so they couldn't find Izuku at all. Let's just say Monoma was devastated. She, well, is in love with Izuku after all. She wants to find Izuku no matter what. And she will find him and become a hero for his sake. So, back to Izuku. It's been like a week now. Izuku has been changed after that. Izuku became more unhinged. He's basically like the equivalent of a mad scientist. As Izuku absolutely loved this brand new job, working as a forgemaster, creating several different types of creatures or night beasts to help in his endeavor. As um wait for a second. Aya says this. So Izuku, how is your as she sees several different types of night beasts in their cages. As Izuku just says this. Oh, Aya, I finished the designs. What do you think? As she says this. Absolutely wonderful, Izuku. Now, as she sits on the table where Izuku usually does his, work, as she says this. So, Izuku, do you miss your. As Izuku just says this. No thanks. Besides, why would I ever become a hero or join those pathetic quirk users? After all, they did say that I was weak, that I couldn't become a hero, and I never want to become a hero either now. I love this job. I love being a forge master. Thank you for giving me this purpose. As she says this, you're welcome. Now, I want you to finish that. Because we're going to be shipping them to Italy. Apparently, this vampire, his name is like Roncino, I think. She wants to, cause some chaos, get some blood, and maybe cause some more trouble. As Izuku just says this. Write it, boss. As she starts bringing in some more bodies, thanks to the help of guards. As Izuku's stabbing these, dead bodies with his, katana, and creating more and more and more night beasts. So, let's just say this is going to be the end of this episode. Sorry, but this is going to be as long as, that. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and also like the video so you can support me and my channel. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye!